Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher. Let's talk a couple game twos, Memphis and Golden State, and of course Milwaukee and Boston. A couple of actual questionable tags on the injury report, not some of these faux Miami questionable tags. I think these are more legitimate injuries. But to break it all down with me, here is Mike Gallagher. Mike, how are you on this Tuesday afternoon?
Getting killed with allergies, but besides that, doing well. Arizona apparently having like the worst allergy season ever because of higher winds and being a little bit drier than usual, which is not too uncommon. But yeah, dealing with that. But other than that, got 2 W's on spread bets yesterday, so good with that. Pretty much broke even on the props, but
Yeah,
doing pretty good.
tough day for me. I got ripped on props yesterday.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I hit some 8 and stuff that helped, but I went hard. Hero killed me, man.
Yeah.
I went really hard on Hero. He just couldn't miss yesterday.
Yeah, Hero and Dwight Powell were really, really brutal. Bad reads, honestly. Hero was hot.
Yeah.
But his role was much bigger in terms of ball handling than it had been the last few games, even without Kyle Lowry. So
yeah, I've got a lot of takes on Powell. I'll be talking about for 3 ball, but like I feel like basically the exact opposite how I felt yesterday.
Yeah, I think we had a bad read on the Powell situation, but hey, you're gonna have some of those. Let's get into the injuries tonight. Let's start with the Boston-Milwaukee game where Marcus Smart is questionable for Boston. And man, Marcus Smart, it was like, the operation game in game one, basically. Like, where did you want to go? You want to go shoulder? You want to go quad? What are the outlooks for Marcus Smart in game two?
It sounds like he's going to be out there. He's listed, I think, with just he's listed with the thigh, so not listed with the shoulder, which is probably a little bit concerned. The thigh was just a really hard bump on his leg. We've seen guys miss those games for long periods of time. I remember Cody Zeller and Derek Favors is another guy that had like a leg bruise and they missed like a month. But expect Smart to go. Definitely encouraging. He didn't get listed with the shoulder injury, so we know that they're gonna leave him open. So it's probably honestly like a little bit more encouraging than really anything else.
Do you think there's any concerns about limitations or minutes scaled back? They certainly do have some of the backcourt depth of Derek White and Peyton Pritchard as 2 of the reserves that they have some level of confidence in. They basically have 2 backcourt players and 2 front court players that they have, reserve confidence in with Tyson and Grant Williams and Pritchard and White, and then they have like no backup wings that they have any sort of confidence in. So as long as Jalen and Jason stay healthy, they seem to be okay. But what are your thoughts on if Smart's minute ceiling comes down at all?
Yeah, they probably would want to play Derek White a little bit more. They definitely could use the additional ball handling. We know White can get in the paint a little bit. Pritchard more of a floor spacer. I think they would prioritize, despite how they went 1 of 15 on drives in the last game. They really want to get in the paint more, even just to make the defense collapse and get shooting that way, rather than run early action, get early clock 3. So I think Derek White would be next man up. But I think Smart's going to be able to tough it out. We know he's a pretty tough dude, so I expect him to be pretty close to a full go.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think through our minutes projections and whether we should, bake in any sort of semblance of conservative or caution around Smart. Because, man, it just got dinged up multiple times.
Yeah.
Obviously, Drew is a very, very physical defender. Him and Marcus are gonna butt heads during the course of the series. So that's the one thing that I know we're showing some light Marcus Smart unders that we haven't taken anything on yet. I'm just wondering if we should maybe bake in a little bit more risk there.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think it makes sense to take a minute off or a half minute off just because aggravation. I mean, it's pretty easy to aggravate that. I mean, it was bad, man. He was wrapped up during the game, limping after the game.
Yeah,
definitely not a run of the mill quad contusion. He really took some contact there.
Yeah. On the Milwaukee side of things, George Hill ruled out once again. It was interesting. He kind of got questionable and then off the injury report at the end of the last series, and then back to being out with this abdominal strain issue. And Chris Middleton's obviously out. Doesn't change anything from Milwaukee's perspective. This was always the assumption here. But any notes or adjustments that you have that you think might play out in the course of game 2 here that you want to reveal to the people before we talk through it on the DFS show later tonight?
No.
Okay.
Listen to 3 ball. I talked about some stuff there, but if you don't want to, shame on you. But yeah, basically they're going to run the similar plan. Mentioned some tiny rotation tweaks that could happen.
Fantastic. Let's talk about Golden State and Memphis. Klay Thompson is listed as probable. He got through shoot around and said he's going to be able to play tonight. Andre Iguodala is still out with that neck issue that he's been dealing with. And then on the Memphis side, Desmond Bane and Zaire Williams are both questionable. I think it's interesting to know whether Zaire would actually be in the rotation or not, but Bane's the big one here. What are your thoughts on their availability tonight?
After the game, Taylor Jenkins said that he's just sore, and he used I'm trying to get a picture up here real quick because he had a little bit of contact during the game, but it's been something he's been kind of playing through. But he has this guy going on right now, little general soreness. That was the quote from Taylor Jenkins. So we should see him out there, and we'll see if it affects him. We know he played terribly after lighting up the Wolves pretty much every game. He was really taken out of the game plan a little bit. They really covered him, but we know the Wolves were like literally letting him shoot. So definitely expecting Bane to not be as big of a factor as he was in the Wolves series.
And then if Zaire Williams is available, do you think he'd be in the rotation, or do you think D'Anthony Melton fits this series better? We saw Melton lose his playing time last series against the Wolves.
I mean, I think so. I think that would give him another piece because we know he wants to play at least 9 guys, probably 10. But he has to take Tillman out, man. And I think if he has Zaire, he could do that a little easier. Whether it's starting Kyle Anderson, starting Clark, starting somebody else, and then that way you still have rotation depth for Zaire. So I think that makes sense. But I thought Conchar, despite how the minutes didn't go well, he gives them a lot what they need. A little bit of ball handling, pretty good rebounder for his size. He's a little bit quicker than Slow-Mo. So I think that he's probably going to cut, but Melton's minutes should be pretty safe. And if Bane's a little bit limited, that would help him as well. Yeah,
against the Warriors, you need guys who can be quick defensively and get around screens and really kind of cover that way. And then you don't really need as much rebounding, right? The Warriors aren't a great rebounding team. You don't really need as much low post scoring because that's not how you're going to really beat the Warriors. So Tillman doesn't really fit very well at all. We'll see if he does get the start tonight. If not, though, that could open up minutes for more guys. And certainly Zaire Williams will be in that fold. But I think Melton should be pretty safe. He's the type of defender that actually fits this series pretty well, I think. So we'll see. He was really good in game 1 and obviously got additional minutes because of Bane's injury, because Dylan Brooks foul trouble, because Melton was shooting the ball well. So the range of outcomes on Melton is very wide, but I do think he tends to kind of fit this series with Golden State.
Yeah, I mentioned on 3-ball too, he fits it much better than Tyus Jones does. Tyus Jones, again, another guy who was really impactful in the last series, was not good. So I mean, like we've been saying, Melton has to play a really good bit here.
Yeah. On the Warriors side of things, Klay Thompson probable, so no changes or concerns there. Hopefully he stays out of foul trouble, and the minutes will be a little bit more secure. We do have Scott Foster on the game tonight, so we'll have to see if that has any lingering impacts in terms of the foul disparities. But
I'm so sick of talking about it, man. Scott Foster, God.
The NBA is choosing their path,
yeah.
They don't have to assign this guy to these games all the time. It is what it is. So we'll see on that.
Yeah, Klay did have a sleeve on his leg at shoot around, so that's something to watch. I think he's going to be fine. We saw him play pretty good minutes. He didn't shoot it great, but I thought he's been moving around really well. I thought he made an okay impact defensively. But I've had some concerns on his defense lately, but yeah, guarded Jaren a lot. I thought when Gary Payton wasn't on the court, they had Wiggins on Ja, so I thought Klay made a decent impact despite how he played terribly and how he burned me with missing 2 late free throws.
Yeah, we had a question in chat from MW asking, do you think Javon Carter sees 20-plus minutes again?
Well, some of that was Drew getting into foul, and I mentioned it. They like him, so I think his minutes are going to be pretty safe. I think he's going to be, I think the number 2 bench guy behind Grayson. So yeah. He
also shot the ball really well. They played really well when he was on the floor. I think 22 is probably unlikely. Just because, as you alluded to, Drew foul trouble. There's some blowout minutes as well that I don't think he was a part of. Actually, I think they subbed late. but I think he was playing well, and I think that's kind of the high end range for him. I do think if Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are doing more damage, especially in transition and different things like that, I think Connaughton could play a bigger role than he did in that first game from a minutes perspective, just because he's a more athletic, bigger body that can kind of fly around and help rim protect and transition and stuff. But largely the Bucks were able to limit that stuff outside of the first half, and so Connaughton's minutes came back down a little bit in the second half there. But I would expect those two to be kind of moving in tandem with their minutes. Between them and Grayson, Wes Matthews' minutes are probably pretty secure just because of the defensive responsibilities he has on Jalen and Jason.
Yep, sounds good to me.
All right, so I think that'll do it for another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here to get notifications whenever we go live. If you'd like to join us behind the paywall, we will be live at 5 o'clock Eastern tonight with myself and Mike Gallagher talking through this 2-game slate. We have weekly packages, monthly packages, so on and so forth for DFS or the prop side of things, which, despite a down night last night in props, it was probably our first down night in a while. So it's generally been a really good run over there. We'd love to have you on board for the rest of the season. There's still another, month and a half, it's still another 5-6 weeks of NBA basketball and playoff basketball, which I love back. So
yeah,
enjoy it. Enjoy the games tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern for another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. Take care, everybody.